English lesson. Okay, so I hope you are enjoying today, and we're gonna move on, on our study. That was about that is about the invasion of Abyssinia. Okay, so do you know what is Abyssinia? Have you ever heard about that? Okay, so actually we are talking about a country. Nowadays, I mean, the name is a little different, okay? Nowadays we know, as the empire, as the area of Ethiopia, okay? Ethiopia. This is the name that we use today. In Portuguese, Ethiopia. Okay, so that's, I mean, like 60, 50 years ago, which was in 1930s, and that at that time, the name was a little bit different. Okay, it was well known for Abyssinia. Very good. So as we know that, let's go over that. Okay, so as you can see here in the title, right? Again, we have another invasion, right? And as you know, we are studying like about the consequences of the League of Nations and all of these stuffs, and it seems very obvious for us that the League of Nations only not I mean really did what it was supposed to do, but as far I mean as far as we move on, like as we go on here on our study, we see that I mean, the League of Nations was almost a completely failure, right? I mean, they didn't really do what they were supposed to do, which was keep the peace between the countries, be a kind of a power to protect, right? To be like to work as a police, right? And in every new lesson, we see a new invasion, a new problem that happened. Okay, and here we're gonna see one more time, like a completely failure of the League of Nations. Okay, why I say failure? Because as we can see here, there is another country that's going to invade another, I mean, a weaker country. And as we have seen that last lesson, right? Remember that we were studying about the Japanese, right, invasion into Manchuria area, right? So let's go on. I'm going to start the reading. Just follow me, guys, and let it go. So we begin here. Next, it was the Italians who tested the strength of the League of Nations. Because why we are saying that? Because last class, remember, right? You remember that we saw that the Japanese Empire, they did that. So Italy was ruled by Mussolini's fascists. Remember? Do you know what is fascist? Fascism? It's a kind of ideology, like it's a government system, it's a way to deal, okay? And of course, it's not a good way, okay? And we have these 4 points here, so I'm gonna read each one of these points. Just follow me. So let's begin. Number 1. Italy was under the control of Benito Mussolini and his fascist party. Fascist party because the party that he belonged to was a fascist one. They had that ideology, that way of thinking. Okay. Number 2, Mussolini had been made prime minister in 1922 after threatening to take power by marching on Rome. And he used his new position to change the voting rules. And in the 1924 election, the fascists swept to power. I mean, this group of people that had that ideology, that way of thinking, and that system, they got the power in 1924's election. Okay, so as we can see here, in this sentence, I mean, he had been made prime minister. I mean, he became the prime minister after threatening to take power by marching on Rome. I mean, I don't know if you have heard about Mussolini, but he's a kind of a soldier, right? He was a soldier. He's like a commander, right? And so basically here to take control, to become prime minister, he threatened. Do you remember what is the word of threatening? It means ameaçar. Marching on Rome means he would get his soldiers, like his army, and would go up to Rome and take the power by force, right? And get the power by force. So this is what he threatened to do. Probably, the people and the other governors, they got a little bit afraid of that, and then they let it happen, just to you have an idea. Okay, so moving on, going down here on this number 3, yeah, we have this. From 1925, he began to establish a dictatorship in Italy. And number 4, opposition political parties were banned. He used his harsh secret police against opponents. Okay, again, harsh secret police. We are talking here. Yeah, we are saying here that he had like his secret police. Yeah, harsh because they acted in a very strong and powerful way, probably threatening people. When I say that, I mean probably they didn't really follow the rules. They didn't really act in the way that it was supposed to be. Okay. And so these are the info that we have here about this first part. Okay. And we have this green part here. Okay. I'm just gonna ask you to just follow me just quickly here. In the early 1930s, Mussolini was on the side of France and Britain. He joined then at the Streza Conference in 1935 to stand against a possible German invasion of Austria. So here, this information that we have here is that in the beginning, yeah, he was against Germany. He was against Hitler, yeah, in this beginning here. But as we're gonna see in the next information here, we're gonna know that later he joined Hitler, the Nazi party. Okay, like they became allies, they became friends. So this is a little of this first part. So let's continue and let's move on. Let's go down here in this next part, okay, which we have Mussolini invaded the Abyssinia for 3 reasons. So let's learn what were actually these reasons. So follow me here. Italy had been defeated by Abyssinia in 1896, and the Italians wanted revenge. So you know revenge? Yeah, when you do not accept something that has happened, and then you want to do that again, but just because you feel that you were, how can I say, like your pride has been attacked, like, so revenge is something bad actually. So that was the first one. Next one, success would divert people's attention from depression and boost Mussolini's popularity. Okay, so let's go on that. Success, I mean, success on what? Firstly, in invading Abyssinia, right? Which is this area here, as we can see in this picture. Okay, so if he successfully invaded that, so I mean, people's attention would change, because at that time, remember that we had a depression. And do you remember what is a depression? Depression is like economical crisis. So people would forget a little bit about that topic, and then maybe they would focus more on this invasion, and it was successful, and then people would get happy. So, and of course, as Mussolini was leading that invasion, so he would become even more popular, right? And number 3 that we can see here, Mussolini dreamed of making Italy a great empire again, and had seen Japan succeed in Manchuria in 1931. So Mussolini has seen that the Japanese empire had succeeded on that. So why not? I mean, why not him, right? Maybe he could try to become like a great empire too. So following that, so he just did that. Okay, so going down a little here, as you can see, yeah, here is this map. So the first information that we learn here is Abyssinia actually was like, as I told you, was the old is what later would become Ethiopia, right? I'm gonna write here for you just to see. This is Ethiopia. Okay, so this is how you write. Don't forget that. Okay, and we know that this is in Africa, right? So here we have this Italian Somaliland, which was probably an area that was conquered by the Italian, yeah, and also we have a French one here, a British one. I believe that all of these parts here, they are colonies. Okay, so of course they took this place here, and now we know that it's about Africa. Yeah, so coming back here to this side, right? So let's see here some points that happen after that, right? So number 1, In October 1935, Mussolini sent troops with heavy artillery and tanks to invade Abyssinia. So, I mean, the war was declared, right? And Mussolini did that. Remember that Mussolini was the prime minister of Italy, and he took the power by force. I mean, not he didn't use that, but I mean, he frightened the people, right? Number two, the Abyssinian leader appealed directly to the League of Nations. And the League of Nations imposed economical sanctions but delayed the banning oil exports in case the USA didn't support them. And Britain and France didn't close the Suez Canal. Okay, the Suez Canal is the name of a canal, yeah, like where ships, boats, they use as a business road, as we say, okay, to Italian ships. So supplies got through despite the sanctions. I mean, even though Britain and France had imposed some sanctions against Italy because what they were doing, they were invading another, I mean, free country, right? Okay, so even though they imposed some sanctions, but I mean, oil and some supplies were still, like moving around freely. So what kind of sanctions is that, right? And number five, by May 1936, Italy had conquered all of Abyssinia. So, I mean, the sad situation happened. Okay, just one info for you, yeah, and about the Abyssinian leader. Okay, I'm gonna leave a video here for you, an extra video, okay, which you will know like the name of that leader and how was he and what he said actually, because he appealed to directly to the League of Nations, but actually he wrote a kind of a letter. Yeah, he made a speech. So I'm gonna leave this video, so please watch that to see how wonderful actually was that and how terrible was the situation. Okay, so there is a comment here down below, so just follow me. Comment and analysis. Mussolini had seen Japan get away with its Manchuria invasion, despite the League of Nations threat. So this gave him more confidence to attack Abyssinia. I mean, why he got more confidence? Because basically, I mean, the League of Nations didn't do anything. That's very sad. Okay, so moving on here, we have this last part, which is the League of Nations appeared ineffective. Of course, we have talked about that before, right? So follow me. Let's see here. We have some info here. And members of the League didn't want to go to war with Italy. Hitler was becoming powerful, and Britain and France wanted to save their resources. So, I mean, not only the League was weaker and weaker day by day, right? As we can see here, there were a lot of reasons why they wouldn't fight that battle, right? Second one, Britain and France made a secret agreement. Oh, secret because probably it was only between Britain and France. The Hoare-Laval Pact. Wow, look at that name. The Hoare-Laval or Laval, I don't know how to say that, but it's something like that, pact. To give Abyssinia to Mussolini. Oh, that's something bad. That is something bad, They made a pact to give a free country to another stronger country. So they let this invasion happen. So you see how sad is that? Do you understand that sentence that Britain and France, they made a pact and they gave permission to Italy invade and take control over Abyssinia? And when the news got out, there was a public outrage. Outrage. I mean, they became very, very angry. Like the public. I mean, of course, people wouldn't accept that, right? Like, do you agree? Yeah, do you agree with that? That a stronger country receives permission from the most powerful countries on the League of Nations to invade a weaker one? That makes no sense, right? That makes no sense at all. So, but I mean, this happened. And number three, meanwhile, Italy became more confident and eventually started making pacts with the fascist leader of Germany, Adolf Hitler. Of course, right? Imagine with me, okay? You start doing things that, I mean, everybody knows that it's not correct. And then what happens is like the the League of Nations, right? The authority, the thing that was supposed to control, to not let things, I mean, some wrong things happen. They don't do anything, and even worse, they cooperated, which was Britain and France, and they let permission to Italy invade this Abyssinia, right? This country. So of course, consequently, what happened was that after that, I mean, the Mussolini, right, which was a fascist guy, was some, I mean, was a bad guy. Yeah, he started this friendship, yeah, this partnership with the German leader Adolf Hitler. Obvious, right? And number four, as we can see here, we have the league's reputation was ruined. I mean, of course, yeah. After everything that we have read and we have seen, of course, its reputation was like really bad. Members were supposed to unite together against aggressors, but they didn't want to. The covenant had been ignored and the league was falling apart. Okay, so this is something good. Covenant. I want you to analyze that word for me. Okay, like what is the meaning of that and how we use it? This is a homework for you. Okay, so here we have like some comment and analysis, right? So follow me. These were exactly the kind of secret agreements that the League of Nations wanted to avoid. They undermined its core principle of all countries working together. Yeah, and I mean, even though it was like the what they tried to avoid, I mean, as much as it was possible. Yeah, this is exactly what Britain and France they did, right? They made a secret agreement, and it goes totally against, right, the I think the idea of the League of Nations, which was like everybody working together with, I mean, with, how can I say, transparency, right? So that is the point. But unfortunately, this happened, right? So and by this we finish this first part. Okay, now we're gonna go to the second one, yeah, which is the homework part. Just follow me to this next part, right, which is the invasion of Abyssinia, but the homework part. Okay, so just follow me and let's see what we have to do here. Okay, so we begin with this first part, right? Let me underline that for you. Okay, this page will make sure you understand how the invasion of Abyssinia challenged the League. Just let me get a little bit close. The League of Nations. Yeah, that's information. Challenge the League of Nations. So, going down here a little, knowledge and understanding. I mean, as we always go, right? So number one, in the first exercise, we have to copy and complete the timeline below about Mussolini's dictatorship and the invasion of Abyssinia by adding information about Mussolini's actions on each date. So what do you have to do here? We have 1922, 1924, and 1925. And also we have October 1935 and May 1936. So you go back to the text before, yeah, to the informations that we have here. So check it out, like this year and this year, right? The informations that we have here, 1922. So check for me what happened there, right? And then you make notes under the dates. Okay, so what happened? Okay, so basically you copy and complete the timeline below. All right, so like giving information about what were Mussolini's actions. Okay, what were the actions that Mussolini did here, right? And number two, copy and complete the mind map below, adding the reasons why Italy invaded Abyssinia. Okay, Abyssinia. So mind map. Again, we have done that many times. Yeah, reasons why Italy invaded Abyssinia. So you put some here's reasons here, put some reasons here, put some reasons here. Complete it as best as possible. Okay. So and then we go on. Thinking historically. So let's analyze this green part here. Copy and complete the diagram below, describing the response to the invasion of Abyssinia, the reasons for each, and its consequences. For example, we have some information here down below. So A, response by members of the League of Nations. So, okay, so we had this invasion, right? The invasion of Abyssinia by Italy. So what was the response by members of the League of Nations? What did they do when they saw that situation happening? And letter B, reasons for this response. Okay, so they did something, and what were the reasons for that? Did they take like a strong, a harsh, how can I say, action against Italy? If yes, give the reasons of that, and if you know, give the reasons of that as well. Okay. And letter C here, as we can see, consequences of this response. Okay, so we know the response and we know the reason. So what was the consequence of that? So give me that. Okay, and then going to this last part here, we have source analysis. All right, so I'm gonna read it for you, and listen to me and just follow me. Okay, the source below is an extract from a speech given by Haile Selassie. I think it's Selassie. That's the name. Okay, the Emperor of Abyssinia, to the League of Nations on 13th June 1936. Okay, so I'm gonna read that for you. Follow me, because by this extract here, we're gonna give the answer for the question below. All right, so just follow me. I've heard it asserted that the inadequate sanctions already applied have not achieved their object. At no time and under no circumstances could sanctions that were intentionally inadequate, intentionally badly applied, stop an aggressor. This is not a case of the impossibility of stopping an aggressor, but of the refusal to stop an aggressor. I ask the 52 nations who have given the Ethiopian people a promise to help them in their resistance to the aggressor, what are they willing to do for Ethiopia? So this is a very strong letter, right? This is a very strong information. And of course, this is, as we can read, as we can understand, probably it was what maybe the leader of Ethiopia, right, of the Abyssinia at that time, what he said, probably, right, after seeing that the League of Nations wouldn't help the enemy. In the opposite, actually, they were helping. They were given permission to Italy to invade, his country. So this is the analysis that we have here, and then down below here we have this short information, which is set and aim. Like set and aim. At the time of the invasion, Ethiopia was known in the west as Abyssinia, as I told you, right? Before. Ethiopia at that time was the country was called Abyssinian and not Abyssinia, actually not Ethiopia. Okay, so in these two asserted, right, in this part here and this part here, so we have like, I have heard it asserted, I have heard it said, and achieve their object, achieve their aim. It's synonymous, yeah. Like, so asserted means that someone said that, and the object, which means the aim, the goal, like what they were looking for. Okay, so this is the reading. So let's see what is the question here. Number one, explain how each feature of the source below affects its usefulness for studying the Abyssinian crisis. Again, explain how each feature of the source below affects its usefulness for studying the Abyssinian crisis. Okay, so we have A, content. Do you know what content is? Do you know the meaning of that word? Content means o conteúdo, right? The date. Do we have dates here? What is the date? Like, was September 19th? Yeah, that's the information. The author, who wrote that? Yeah, who said that? And purpose? What was the purpose of that? What was the goal of that? Okay, so what do you have to do here? What is the goal here? So you guys are gonna read it. Okay, as we can see here, we have that story, and again, we have some information even here in the title, right? The source below is an extract from a speech given by Haile Selassie, the Emperor of Abyssinia, as I told you, the leader of Abyssinia, right? And to the League of Nations on 30th June 1936. Okay, so that is the point here. Let me just close this a little bit. Okay. All right, and moving on. Yeah, after reading that, okay, you analyze this information. We have the dates here, we have the name, so all you have to do is to explain how each feature of the source below affects its usefulness for studying the Abyssinian crisis, right? So the content, the date, the author, the purpose, does it help you or not to understand what really happened? Yeah, at that, I mean, in the Abyssinian crisis, like in this invasion. Do you understand that? Do you know exactly what happened? So let me know about that, okay? And in this last part here, let me make it a little bit bigger, okay? In this last part here, we have Abyssinia was one of the turning points of the period. Do you know turning point? This is a question for you. What is a turning point? Okay, what is that? Analyze it for me and then give me as a homework, okay? So make sure you can identify turning points in this period, in the period between the two world wars. For example, many historians think the Abyssinian crisis was the start of the League's collapse. Okay, so a turning point, I mean, just to have an easy idea, is probably something that was an important point, right? But give me a better definition for that, okay? But basically, that is it, okay? So as we can see here, I mean, this is what you have to do today, right? So analyze it quickly, I mean, analyze it carefully, yeah, go over all day study, answer these questions, and do this homework for me, okay? So thanks a lot, guys. Thank you very much for today, and I see you next time. And of course, don't forget to do your homework carefully, okay? Analyze everything with, I mean, with calm. Yeah, don't rush when you were doing your homework. And I mean, take notes of everything, right? Remember that a good study is a study that we write, we take notes about that, we read it, we check that, okay? So do that carefully, but I mean, don't forget to do all these steps for a good study, okay? So again, thanks, and see you next time. Bye bye.